how everybody's sense of humor is today, but obviously this is my, last day of chairing CPF. But what I did do, okay, and Amber doesn't know this, okay, I put in the budget, okay, that we should have coffee and donuts at every one of our meetings.
Oh,
How do you think that's
good
gonna
idea.
be?
Good idea.
That's for that.
What about cappuccino?
Push in the envelope.
Thanks for everyone coming here today. We have some things to go through normally, okay, but this is really a holiday meeting, and you know how, in the past, how I've gotten myself into trouble on closing out the year in terms of talking about highs and lows, okay? So we're going to try to be a little better this year,
Hi,
okay?
how about hi?
And I think we'll just call the meeting to order, okay? I thank everybody for coming here today. And I think what we'll do is we'll just get a couple of our business things out of the way, and then we'll move on to other topics, okay? We have the minutes for our last meeting. Can we get a motion? Has everybody had a chance to take a look at them?
Yes.
Okay, and can I get a motion to accept the minutes?
So move.
Second. Aye.
Aye, okay. Let me go into the financial report. Can you just flip over to that, Jessica? Okay. Can you go to the first slide? Okay. First slide, okay. You'll notice in this is the November 30th statement, okay, our Chase account, where we have an opening balance of $471,885. The interest for that account this month, okay, was $689.07. There is an expense sheet connected there, which will show you the expenses of the $23,796.85. So we have a balance in that Chase account, which is our working account, is $447,952.98. Our New York Class account, which is our high yield interest account, we had an opening balance of $9,423,974.98. The interest this month on that account was $35,367.61. The transfer tax for this month, okay, was $34,521.27. So that account, the closing balance, okay, was $9,493,863. So the cash account, the cash that we have available in CPF is $9,941,816.84. Now, again, as we talked about this last month, we have potential acquisitions that are in the process, okay, that were approximately $8 million. Okay, so we sort of accounting for this. We really don't have that amount of money, but we were in the middle of having a public hearing on the 16th, okay, for the 7 Serpentine, okay, which will reduce that amount. On the second page, which is, it says CPF, Community Housing WQIP. I put this together, I thought it was interesting. So to date, CPF this year has a total of $1,181,608.51. Now, remember, we're into December, but we're always like 60 to 90 days behind. So we still have 3 months left of revenue. We have 1/4 of the year that we still have the potential of increasing the funds that come into through CPF. But you can see it's a little startling from what we've been dealing with in the past so far. That is what I have, okay? And any questions on the financials?
I'll make a motion to accept the financials.
Okay,
I second it.
thank you.
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay,
I'd like to make a motion that I'd like to nominate Tou Ransom as our next CPF chairman.
Second.
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 Yay, too.
Do we know about this? Do you know about this?
Yeah.
Right.
Julie, I did bring something for you today, okay? We don't have a gavel, but I'm gonna give you this. Because this is very important for the chairman as he goes through the tick-infested fields to put the new stakes in.
Thank you. I have something for you, Gordon. This is a walking stick from your first acquisition from Milton Herd.
Wow.
Oh, that's lovely.
This is for the living room, that big display you have.
My wall of memories?
Yes.
So I'm just a memory now, is that what I am?
You're a new memory.
Open it up.
Okay.
So when I first went to join the CPF, I had applied at the same time Gordon applied, and Gordon got the job. I had known Peter Vilbig, and I said, boy, I really want to work with Peter. That's great. So I called him up. He goes, well, I'm gone. I'm done. So Gordon got the job. I didn't get the job. And I said to John Ingham, geez, I didn't get the job on the CPF. He said, well, we'd rather have Gordon than you anyway, so. But anyway, since we're giving things out, we have a little presentation in recognition for his dedication to public service. Whereas Gordon Gooding has chaired the Community Preservation Advisory Board on Shelter Island since 2016. And whereas during his tenure, many significant properties were acquired and preserved from development. And whereas his efforts enhanced the protection of the environment on Shelter Island while retaining its rural character. And whereas vistas were kept open, recreational activities were enhanced, water recharge so important to the island was increased. And under his leadership, approximately 63 acres have been preserved. And whereas in leading his CPF team, with his perseverance, conscientiousness, and extraordinary work ethic, he has improved the lives of Shelter Island residents innumerably. And whereas for making such an important contribution to the town in his preservation efforts and his new position on the Shelter Island Town Board, now be it resolved on behalf of the First Senatorial District, I extend my sincere congratulations to Gordon Gooding for all the good he has done, that he be remembered and may his example continue to contribute to the betterment of our society. I hope you can something for the public.
Frameable, Gordon. It's frameable.
Very, very nice, okay.
Gordon, I didn't bring anything except my words. I just want to express my gratitude for everything you've done and how thankful I am and the community is, and how impressed I am with how much you're able to accomplish, and in getting these preserves open to the public. I cannot thank you enough. Really, it's meant so much to me. It's been my honor and pleasure. So.
It's really been I've been very fortunate. This is, Jim Doherty, listen, I've been having had the seat for such a long time, I've been it's not as long as John Needham in the back, okay? And I'm not related to everybody on the island. That's clear, okay? But we've had 4 supervisors, okay? We've gone from, we didn't have town emails. I remember back in 16, it was like, well, we couldn't get emails individually, so everybody worked. So things have moved along, and I'm really excited. And I think that, it's good for me to move on, okay? And I think it's good for someone else to carry it forward. You know, we had Jim Doherty, he basically started the whole CPF thing going, and we had a lot of people participate. I've been fortunate because we had a good start. We had Mike Lasby, this guy here. We've had a lot of things that were really positive, okay, going forward, okay. You know, when I look back, you know, I'm on the board, and we all look around at each other and we said, oh, who wants to be the chair? And everybody has a blank stare on their face, okay? And so it's not like, you know, I felt very uncomfortable because I was the newest person on the board. And I wanted to make, it was not, this took me in a direction which I had no idea where it would take me today, okay? But, you know,
It's like when I bought my boat.
you really think, if you think of all, you know, we talk about our community character. We talk about land, with our natural resources. You know, Doherty, Michael Coles, Peter Vilbig, the names go on and on here, okay, who have done wonderful things, okay? It's very hard. I tell you, one of the first experiences was when we, getting into the job, all the parks were closed, okay? And I always remember the comment of, well, I don't think they should be open, okay? I think we're gonna have people from Brooklyn, and we're gonna have all this bad stuff, and there's gonna be dirt and everything else in the preserves. And it wasn't that way at all, okay? I remember so specifically, and I started with, I'll confess, and I may have said this before, I started with Mildred Flower Hurd, okay? And I really vividly remember all the comments of, you can't do this, you can't, that's not allowed. And, you know, it's, you know, so Esther Hunt, okay, I had a long conversation with her when she was much younger, maybe at 90, okay? And so she really was thrilled about, because she always wanted that property to be open to the public. That was her goal, that the property was open to the public, okay? And that was like her gift. Although we purchased the property from her, they had really feelings on it, okay? So what happened next was we couldn't get people to agree on this thing. And so finally, the good part of having the county on that property was the fact that when I called the county, they said, well, how much do you own? How much do we own? And what do they own? And what, all this other stuff. And they gave us complete support. So Brian Sherman, the following day, we're there, okay? We're opening a space. And obviously the calls are, you know, may not be correct and whatever. It's history now, okay? It was like the first one, and it made it easier for the rest of it. And I think it's really good. This is everybody's property, okay? Every taxpayer pays for this property, not through the actual purchase, but we're paying it through our taxes because it's off the tax rolls, okay? So it's been, and I remember going into Lima Bean Field, okay, clearing the path. And there is Greg Woods. We had a whole bunch of young people. Joe was there. And here we got this tick infested thing here that we're cutting through to get there, okay? So there are a lot of really good good memories, okay? And not memories that are long gone, but it takes a whole bunch of people to get together. Our committee has been really wonderful. Everybody's done what they have to do, okay? I think, I think preservation is really important. It's part of our community character, okay? And our connection with the ex-members and with the Shelter Island Historical Society, I think is a good match, because they have the history, and all we're doing is we're really trying to maintain our character so that everyone can enjoy what everybody came to Shelter Island for, which was our natural resources and the good things. So I don't know, I'm happy, and I am happy, okay, and happy that we did this. This is not about me. It was never about me. It's really about our island. I think everyone at this table realizes it was never who got the credit for whatever was done. It was that we got it done. Kim Patel came on the group, and, he created another whole set of problems. Okay?
I want a meadow.
Starting.
I'll let you guys deal with it going forward, okay? But
No.
it's people, some of the people from these preserves, we don't honor them enough. I mean, I'm gonna embarrass John Needham because he's here, okay, and Laura, okay? And I think, those are the things where they had opportunities to do other things with their property, but they wanted to do something good for Shelter Island, okay? And they could have certainly gotten more money for their property, but they chose a different route, because they're rooted here, and so many other people are rooted here. We if you talk about from when our first acquisition was down in the Cogden Road, and that was with the Scudder family. It was our last piece of property, okay? And Steve Lennox, who was a staple in the community, him and I used to drive around, and I hope that you continue to drive around with him, because he knows this island better than anybody on Shelter Island. And he said, this is a great piece of property. He gives me the contacts. I get hold of the Scudder family. We meet at my house on a Sunday. We have a couple of glasses of wine with Elizabeth and Peter. Michael Laspier is there, and we made this thing happen, okay? And life is not always about money. I mean, if it was about money, I don't think I would be doing this, okay? We're gonna discuss that later, okay? But we had some really positive things. That we had Sandra O'Connor, okay, where she had other choices. It's an interesting thing that this is all about. It's been fun, and the personalities and meeting the people who are really the heart of Shelter Island. When we talk about community character and different people, it's just amazing, the quality and the people here on this island. We really need to draw more from those folks, because they have a lot to add, okay? And, then we get Kathy Kenny now on there as our attorney, so now everything is looked at with a fine tooth comb, okay? But I really have enjoyed this experience, okay? And I'm really thankful. And there's the guy over there, Mike Laspia, okay, who was on the board when I first came on board, and who really had a lot of experience and did a lot for CPF. I don't know whether maybe he's deserving of this piece, okay, more than me, okay?
No.
Mike, I just thank you for all your help, through the years, and you've always been there if we needed something. Ed Schillingberg, although he's not on the board, I consider Ed Schillingberg, I hope you'll keep him on as the 8th member of the CPF.
Perpetual.
Okay, he's our honorary member, okay? But all I can say is that it's very good things, and we have very delightful people, and, you know, we're going to, it's just, we have an amazing island, and I don't know how to say it any other way. I've only been here since, I've had a home since '83, and I thought, you know, had sailed every weekend, didn't know anybody, but boy, when you come on the land and then you start to meet all the people that are here, it's an amazing, we have an amazing, and I think we have to stop and take time out to appreciate all the people, the committees, and everybody who does this. But I thank you for these things, okay? And I hope you welcome me back one day, that I can attend your meeting, and Tui, you're buying the muffins.
Oh, no, Gordon, I'm going to come and get the money from you. Because you got paid so much for all the
Yeah,
work.
that's right.
Before we go the next, I think I invited Nanette Lawrenson from the Historical Society. Where, again, talk about a group of people. We got Kathy Kenny, Tim Patel, Chuck, Mike Laspia. Everybody participated in putting together a book that they so hardly worked on. And the book is going to look like this, okay? It's going to be 200 and some odd pages. This is only a cover here. So I asked her to come and talk a little bit about This Land Is Your Land. If you recall, we did This Land Is Your Land a few months,
Years ago.
Years ago. We did a presentation there. They displayed it, so it's been really good. So, Nanette, why don't you just share a couple of things about some events coming forward?
Sure, be happy to. And should I do that from right here?
Yeah, this is not an interrogation here.
So, thank you, Gordon, for inviting me. So we have a fabulous exhibit coming up, which will be installed and open to the public by end of June of next year. And it is about the White family. And most people look at me and they go, who are the White family? Well, the White family started with Henry White coming in the summer of 1901. And I actually provided some handouts here of 3 bios of White family members and an excerpt from his memoirs, which is very interesting. So the White property was sold to CPF like 3 years ago, thereabouts, 3 years ago. And at that point in time, I asked Gordon, I said, who are the Whites? Now, bear in mind, I live in High Shores. I've been up and down West Neck Creek most of my life in boats and kayaks, whatever, fishing. I never knew what these little houses were that look so charming. Well, it turns out that Henry White arrived on Shelter Island because of weak fish and the plentiful amount of weak fish. First in Cockles Harbor, he was introduced to Cockles Harbor in 1901. He went to Taylor's Island. There were people there on the island. He said, hey, you know, what about weak fish? Oh yeah, you can get weak fish here, but if you really want weak fish, go to West Neck Creek. So fast forward to, I think it's 1916, he had achieved buying property from first the Wards and then the Dickersons, which is now part of, or it is, the White family property. The 20 acres that he sold to CPF, wonderful that we have this. It's pristine, it's beautiful, it hasn't changed other than the invasives being gone. Ticks are probably still there, I don't know. Absolutely gorgeous piece of property. So I have now, since learning about the property, been able to work with the family to create this exhibit. And there are 3 major world-renowned artists as part of this family. So we will be receiving about 30 paintings from them on loan for the exhibit, which is phenomenal. And then there's a 4th generation of grandchildren who go to art camp every summer on this property. So I'm very grateful for CPF for preserving this property and also bringing it to light. Like, who are these people? They've been here since the early 1900s. No one knows who they are. And the reason for that is the property is so beautiful that when they come, and they continue to come on a regular basis, they really don't leave their property. They don't have a need to. I brought someone in I don't know, back in August, maybe August or September, to show them around with permission. And they said, oh, wow, this is fantastic. You must have other places like this on Shelter Island. This is really wonderful. And I said, not to my knowledge. I don't think so. It's a very, very special piece of property, and we're very fortunate to have that along with the other properties. The story that will be told in the June exhibit and will go through the summer will be about the White family, about weakfish. It will incorporate some of our own collections. I'm trying to not replicate the homes, the rooms in the homes, but at least bring some of our collection in terms of clothing and furnishings, accessories, so that we can kind of reinvent the White family property. There'll be an opening, there'll be a catalog, the White family, who I've met many of, and I'm still trying to sort out who's who. They will be in attendance, and it will be fantastic. So I'm very grateful for the CPF to bringing this to light and bringing the historical story about a family who's been here since the 1900s to light.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Jessica, could you show a couple of the slides from the book that Kathy, that they're putting together, okay?
That's a pretty photograph.
Well, Tim, why don't you, before we go further, why don't you explain the problems of this book where you had to go through finding the name, we were concerned about the name being trademarked, and where we were, some of the problems with developing the book.
Well, the name wasn't so much of a problem.
That happens to be the White property right there.
Yes. One of the things about this book that's really going to be wonderful, it's sort of it's a combination guidebook to the properties. It's also a wonderfully deep history of the properties, going all the way back centuries. And then it's also a wonderful picture book. We've been really fortunate in having island photographers go out into all the different properties at different times of the year and take really wonderful photos. So this one, I brought Eleanor Brosey to the White property, I think in August, and just showed her around and then said, just come back and go to town. And that's how she got this cover photo. Eleanor really wanted to have the cover photo, and she nailed it. And that took time, actually, because we really needed different seasons. A year ago, we're leaning more towards fall and winter, and we really wanted spring and summer. So we were fortunate to, this past spring and summer, to go back into all the properties and get a lot more photographs. So it's the book is really a wonderful combination of many elements. And it's going to be wonderful.
One of the problems is that I presumed all these properties would have deeds, and they did not. And thanks to Ed, we had a lot of maps with handwritten family names. So that was interesting to me, that I just presumed everything had a deed, but they didn't really have any. They would have weird, now you use a survey, but they'd have descriptions, 5 feet from the rock, and that's how they describe their survey.
Jessica, could you go to the next slide?
By the way, that's Barnyard Creek.
Yes.
Ed called me and asked me to find out, and Bo Payne knew the name of it.
This was just some snapshots of how this book is going to look like. It hasn't gone to the printer just yet,
No.
I can't wait till you guys get out of my house. Okay? I'm tired of seeing you for 3 hours, but anyhow, this gives you a little flavor of what there are. We got pictures from Jim Culligan. We have we got everybody.
Tim,
Wonderful.
It's amazing.
Pictures of the preserves, but also wonderful nature photographs. A lot of bird photographs, animals. Wonderful wildlife photographs. And this actually gives you an idea. Each preserve will have its own chapter with photographs, but also you'll get a map of the preserved, how it was preserved, how you access the preserve. So it's really be very, it's really going to serve multiple purposes.
Let's go to the next area. Here we go. Which one is this now?
Gutters.
I'm sorry, I can't see this one, Kathy, from here.
This is Condon Creek. So
Creek,
this,
okay.
again, this page has the history of the property, a little history of the former owners of the property. And another one about how Condon Creek had different names.
And ironically, when we purchased this property, what was so interesting is, this is the first one which Stevie Lennox helped us with, okay, but the property line is in the center of the launch ramp. Okay, pretty interesting. But anyhow, Jessica, let's go. We're going to go through these a little bit just so you get a little flavor. This is North Menantic. Actually, North Menantic was, I guess everybody refers to it as Ned's Lane. Okay, that was one that a real success thing because we were able to work with PLT. Okay, and it cost CPF $250,000 for this project. Okay. They picked up the other 800,000. So the partnerships that we have with Suffolk County or PLT, they're pretty important, and we've got to continue to have good relationships with those groups. Okay, but and Ed, this property went back to your family, correct? Or Patricia's?
My in-laws,
That's right.
owned it, sort of just around the end of World War II. And they used it for lawn beans at some point, and of course grazing, and leased it out, and then
They had cattle for a while there.
for grandchildren.
Because I grew up next door to that property and remember they had the Alfred Pollywood raising the Black Angus steers on that property.
Wow.
Now you tell us.
Now you tell me, yeah.
That's annoying.
Yes,
We haven't gone to press.
leave something.
Change the book. All right, let's see what the next one is.
This is Ned Smythe.
Ned Smythe, okay, yeah, right. Actually, I'm trying to get Ned Smythe to do something, maybe too, you'll continue with it because he's an artist, and what I always envisioned with that property is walking around and having some of his artwork there on display, some of his physical documents there as they walk through. Okay. Oh, okay, Jessica, another one? Yes, this is West Neck, okay, this is Tim's favorite property, okay, he is the mugwort champion of Shelter Island.
But by the way, Gordon, I wanted to mention that you've gotten a trophy, all these other wonderful things. While we're here, we're having mugwort installed in your garden.
Thank you very so much.
It's natural too, it grows.
Share my pain.
You know what was, this is a side note of this, of the mugworts, okay? To show you how interesting our town is. I went to Mishamik, and they had a presentation there from the new director there. And he was talking about invasives, okay? And it was so interesting. We think we know everything, but not that we think, but sometimes we are startled when we learn things. So she was commenting that she needed to talk to the town highway department because when they mow on the side of the road and there's invasives there, okay, and they cut, and when they move that piece of equipment to another area, we're passing on the invasives to another area. And it's something I never dawned on me. So, of course, the logistics of this thing of, well, you have to wash it out. I don't know how you do that stuff, okay? But it was just interesting, the conceptual thing of we're concerned about invasives and we sometimes may be moving it from one spot to another.
That's why mugwort covers the entire island.
Okay. All right, so this property here, this property now, okay, we still have a long way. This is probably going to be our first with ADA compliant once we get to that particular point. And to save you from coming back to it, we, the sand, we've planted the seed there now?
Yes, I planted the winter crop last week.
Okay. All right, next slide.
It's West Neck.
That's West Neck again, okay? That's the plan that we use for Nelson Pope in order to try to eliminate the mudwarts that are in the one section there.
And then on this page, it has a history, but then also there's a little sidebar there with the sunset photograph, and it's about Bootleggers Alley and sort of a little mini history of Bootleggers Alley. So a lot of the chapters will have little sort of sidebars like that, explain like Bootleggers Alley, but also many other sort of little interesting historical tidbits about each of the properties.
Next slide. This one always amazes me, and I think we still have it up on the wall here. Okay, this is really what that property looked like.
It's
Going,
called West Neck Park?
yes,
Yes, it was called West Neck Park.
Interesting, wow.
That's a whole other story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
One of the other interesting things that will come out of this book is about how many real estate development schemes there were in particularly the 20th century, and how they all succeeded. Probably we all wouldn't be sitting here. It'd be a very, very different island.
That's gorgeous.
it's printed on leather.
next slide.
Yeah, do you want to say something about this photograph?
Sure, and the history, which, you know, a lot of these photographs and the history that has come from our archives, this piece is a relatively large piece and it is printed on leather. We have two different versions of West Neck, the West Neck Farm, on leather. And there are these big rolls and, you know, we hesitate to show them publicly because they're extremely fragile, but we did find a way to make reproductions for the book. The book is fascinating and the book has taken all of us who have worked on it, which is many, down paths of history that are just fascinating, you know, that maybe each one of us knew a little bit, and there's information in the archives. We've added to our information in the archive because of the book. And it all goes back to having land, purchasing land.
Are we looking at Brander right
Yes.
here? Yeah.
And that's Bootleggers Alley,
Worthy Way, West Neck and Worthy Way.
Worthy Way.
So you're looking up at West Neck.
Okay, so you from Brander down.
Yeah, so the
Like,
property,
You can see the house.
the preserve is here. Right?
what did,
Right.
Looks like it.
oh, so you're not looking at Bootleggers.
To the right side, that's it,
Where the girl is,
yeah.
right? Because they had that alley of trees.
Yeah, if you're looking down Bootleggers, then the preserve would be on the right, right?
Right.
There is a mansions out here, I don't know.
And that would be where Brander Parkway is, and Brander
Yeah,
Parkway would be
right.
much closer to that house.
Right.
You can see it. You can see the water at the back.
You can see it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, yes, on the right.
I think Sandra said to me that the house goes back into her family.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought she said that, yeah.
Yeah.
Next slide, you'll have to buy the book in order to find out
Yes,
Exactly.
the rest of the story. What's interesting in this slide here is this is how the island was all broken up into these little slivers.
Now, this is a proposal to develop West Neck Park.
So that's an example of one of the developments, and that piece there is just 1/4 of the plan that was planned for that whole area. It would have been chock-a-block with houses.
May I add to that?
Yeah.
Our current exhibit is about the developments that didn't happen on Shelter Island and Ram Island, both Rams.
Right.
Hay Beach, Nostrand Parkway, Silver Beach,
Deering Harbor.
Centertown, Deering Harbor, there's
I
a
see that.
civic center that was proposed here, and Tim's, and Bridges, of course. So had any of that happened, we would have a much different island than we have today, and we probably wouldn't be sitting here.
You'd have an airport in Mashonack.
Yes, that's the other, Mashonack would have been developed and there were proposals to have an airport in Mashonack, so, very, very different. And don't forget the bridge. Exactly, all the plans for bridges.
So we'll have an exhibit up through the end of, well, actually for another 3 weeks. So if you haven't
See
seen it,
it.
it's really eye-opening and also scary and makes you feel very thankful that none of that happened.
This is a little piece on Artist Lane.
It's the whites.
Yeah. It's hard to read it, but I'm just showing you a couple of slides of what the book is going to look like inside, okay? Which one is this now?
These are white.
The white,
Yeah, okay.
One of the whites is still alive, one of the painters.
what'd you say?
Nelson.
Nelson.
Yeah. Nelson is still alive. He's great.
Yeah, it's interesting, anybody who has doubts about preservation, just think of what this could have looked like with the trees and everything else gone, okay? But, and also in the sensitive area of Montclair, okay? This is really, the one thing that, that we have a subcommittee working on putting the plan together, and one of the things that I really want to make a recommendation on is where we have, let's say, when we have wellheads, like the white property has wellheads, okay, they're capped. I'm not looking to use the water, but I think when we have some sensitive areas like Montclair, it's just another thing I think that we should be able to use those wells, okay, in some way just to do testing to see how things are changing from year to year, okay? It's not like we're not looking to extract water, we're just basically looking for, it's another test well that's available, and we have them on a number of pieces of property. Go ahead. Now, this one here. This is another absolutely a long story. So Kathy, why don't you talk about Tuttle Creek, okay?
Actually, a lot of properties was named Tuttle. And the federal government came along to chart some waterways and decided that it's the other way around. Too many things had the name Dickerson. So the federal government really started to chart this and decided to call it Tuthill. It's right next to
Circum's Rest across the street.
Circum's Rest. I mean, it started with the T. It's really quite beautiful. It was beautifully maintained. John is here to take credit for that work. When did we close? Only a month or so ago.
How long ago, John, when we closed that?
Wasn't expecting to see this in there.
Well, September or October?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
The book was about finished, and Gordon says he wanted to include Tuttle Creek. I thought I was going to choke him. I said, well, then you write it.
It's we have Mashonack and we have preserved lands. Like, if you think of this, how we're connected to Turkham's Rest, later on, we're going to look back on these properties and we're going to say, wow, look how CPF did some of these things, okay? The Causeway property was saved. We've had some really good things happen here, I think. Go ahead, John.
So that was a labor of love for Laura and I. If you go in there and see the cleared areas, Laura and I did all that by hand.
Wow.
Really?
Thank you.
I did start off with a bulldozer that I got on the North Road. Everybody's got to have a bulldozer. That was a complete failure. So it ended up with loppers and, taking the afternoons off. And then this was before the burning was restricted. And then on the weekends, we'd have a burn pile going. And it was just a fantastic experience.
Thank you.
Your job is hoisting the big logs. Better at that than I was.
What's fascinating is that anybody I've taken to the property, they think it's just an overgrown wooded thing. But all of a sudden you walk in and like, whoa, they didn't realize what was there.
There was one traumatic event that probably a lot of people weren't aware of. There was a microburst that hit that area. It started in the creek and worked its way across Eklund's property, across his property, and went another couple hundred yards and was gone. But, you know, the Eklund's probably lost 10 locust trees, and this property lost probably 20.
How many years ago was this, John?
10 years.
25 years ago.
Yeah, 20, something like that.
Like the,
Yeah, it was,
the road across and that was like wiped out all the trees and that,
so that was a setback, and having to deal with all that. But it was amazing, as you cleared the multi-floor rows, as soon as sunlight hit the ground, grass came up. I didn't plant a single seed of grass in there. It was all laying there dormant, I guess. I don't know a lot about grass, and it just appeared.
You know, John, I'm just thinking, I went past it the other day, it could use a mowing, okay, so. Okay.
Get right back to it.
Go to the next slide. That's what it looks like inside there. Dickinson Creek, the town was able to get some funding to redo the bulkhead, and it made that all that much easier to clean that area up, okay? It's interesting to give a short story on this. I never forget when Brian, we cleaned this property up, and God, did we have a whole bunch of people come right in my face, okay, over
Right.
bunny rabbits and all these things. So I hope two of you have the same experience that I've had, okay? Okay. But anyhow, what's so interesting is now everybody loves the park. So it's sometimes when you get some blowback, but these are really good things.
But I just want to add, we are going to add some vegetation.
Yes.
I thought Howie said, I thought Howie said we didn't need it.
No,
Need some, but
we
don't need the big buffer.
don't need the big buffer, but we are going to add vegetation back in.
Gordon, I think that's an example of a piece of property that was subprime, and it was a dump for basically road construction there.
Really?
Filled with all kinds of stuff, but rather than naturally beautiful, you fixed it up and made it naturally beautiful. That's great.
That's why we're really fortunate also, because we know we don't give our highway department enough credit for what they do working with us. Now with Ken on board, I mean, everybody participates, everybody adds to the equation. What is this one here now?
This is the same thing, and this is the opening. And then the high school boys made a bench in honor of Nick Moorhead. That's the Moorhead family. Aren't they adorable?
Did you get permission to have their photographs in this?
Yes, you
You did?
well, particularly since they're minors. You
Yeah,
have to get
minors, you
released.
have to get released.
This is a fascinating house. This was cantilevered over the bay. And I think part of the house is still there, but this extension over the water is no longer there.
Like there was many railroad cars attached to each other.
Yeah.
John Snyder's house. I remember the house built, and there is, the basic portion is still there. But the whole, there were 3 or 4 railroad cars that were attached together and then went right out over the water.
Railroad cards?
Really, yeah, he was in the manufacturing of.
Yeah. West Steel.
That's it, yeah.
That was on Dickerson Creek.
Yeah, right.
That was on Dickinson Creek?
It was, actually, that's out over,
West Neck.
West Neck.
the bay, West Lake Bay.
Put together.
Dickerson Creek is.
Wow.
It's like a free prefab house.
Wow. And that was the 50s? No, yeah, 52, well, yeah. That's bizarre.
Okay,
That's
the
the
next
end
slide.
of our Kettle Road.
Mildred Flower Hurd, okay. That's where we have I don't know, Mike, I know you're not with the Shamik anymore, but what's going on? How is everybody addressing, how do you see people addressing the diseased trees that we have all over now? Is there any?
At the beach.
Yeah,
I don't know, I'm trying to follow myself. I mean, I think I've read that there's some glimmer of hope somewhere, something is, they have identified something that might slow the disease, but I don't know, I mean, that personally, I don't have a lot of hope. You know,
how, like in Mildred,
Not scale.
some areas are more affected than others. When you go
Yeah.
into past Mildred Flower Hurd, the canopies are gone. I mean,
Right.
it's just daylight in there. And what will happen next? Will we
Yeah,
have?
that's gonna be interesting to see what happens next, probably invasives. You might
I think so.
that the light's gonna open up and all that invasive seed growth, like John was talking about, that's always there on the ground. As soon as it gets some light or whatever, and nutrients, it's gonna take off. And with that, and also deer affecting, there's not a lot growing on the ground in most places on South in most sections of dense forest like this. So certainly not beech seeds are gonna come up, maybe some oaks, we'll see.
Those will just get eaten by the deer anyway.
But,
If the oak comes up, and they'll just get eaten.
yeah, unless we can get the population low enough. See.
All right, let's go to the next one here. What is that, Kathy?
This was another plan development. The green is where the preserve is.
Oh, okay, I see. Oh, that's actually Deering Harbor.
Yeah, what do you call it? Esther's father was involved in proposing a golf course in that area. And the plan kind of went kaput. So when it dissolved, he received some land in return for, I guess, his stock.
Next slide. You only got a few more. And that's the Prospect, is that what that is?
Enhance the house.
Enhance the house, okay.
And that's the house she grew up in on the right. Still there, obviously. It's Julia Dodd. Or Dido.
Lima bean.
Oh, that's a great photograph.
I mean, they're essentially amateur photographers, but I mean, it's that we had their photos. I was just saying to someone, I don't see half of this wildlife. So the book kind of brought it to life.
I have that great horn
Well, you hear
owl
them.
in my backyard.
Still?
Every year they come back and
He
they're
comes back?
meeting there. Just magnificent photographs.
I think these guys sit in the woods for 8 hours, and this is the lima bean. I thought it was funny when I found that stock certificate, somebody had written on it, useless.
What was the actual factory?
Where was it?
Yeah, like a,
I think they, you know what that thing is?
Mike, where was it? You probably know.
The lima bean factory for those fields, because there were several lima bean factories. You go down Manhasset Road, come to the crossroad of the Cobbetts, if you made a right on Cobbetts, it was immediately on your left-hand side.
Is that where Overlook is now?
Yeah, kind of, but.
there's like one house there, one or two
Yeah,
houses in there, right? Yeah.
in there, right in where the house was that
That's across from your house, right?
catty corner, of course.
Catty corner, right.
Yeah,
And that's what's preserved right now.
well, all four corners, I can remember when you're going down Manhasset Road, the Cobbetts Lane, all four corners were field, and all four sides were field.
Mike, you don't look that old.
I raised lima beans in those fields for years. Later than that. Yeah, and then, right.
Mike's father had a nursery there.
And all lima bean, yeah. We mentioned that.
Okay. Clear Creek. Chuck, you were involved with this one, right, for?
Yeah.
Pretty.
This is my favorite photo.
It's wonderful.
Getting down.
And Eleanor Labrosi. It's a wonderful
I
sequence.
think that's the last slide we have, okay, and we're just giving you an overview, and I just, Lynette, thanks for coming out. I think that the event in June should be good, and I'm hoping that somehow or other CPF could play some role. We should use this opportunity that they're doing, that perhaps we could physically take some groups and take them for a walk, okay, through some of the properties. I mean, that's something that you can put together, but I think that would be a good thing to do.
And by that time, the book will be available.
Yes.
Yes, it will.
It will. I'll die trying.
Thanks, Lynette, okay.
Thank you.
I'll hold you up and visit again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the stewardship plan,
I just gave out, I think we voted on it, and minutes reflect that. Changes that were.
Mike, thanks for coming out, okay.
Thank you.
Like, I missed out on the time, it's still 9 o'clock anyway, but I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to make a comment about you and your leadership, but I'm gonna do it now. That is, I think in the days when Mike and I and Chuck were on the committee, it was just meets and bounds, nothing, meets and bounds and dollars, and that was it. There was nothing filled in or fleshed out. And as an example, this beautiful book, you fleshed it out, you made it accessible, had the public know. Your tenacity and bargaining is exceeded only by your deflection to the rest of the committee. When you compliment Gordon, he says, it's my committee. And I agree, this is a great committee, but it takes a leader to make all this happen, Gordon.
No, listen,
Thank you so much for all that.
Peter, listen, this is, we have a hard time defining community character. This is the community character. What we had here in this room, this group here, everybody comes together. We hear too much, there's too much noise going on, okay? But if I had to talk about one thing that made me happy, this today makes me happy, to seeing all ex-CPF people, some of the people who gave their property. This is good stuff, okay? This will remain and continue. That's for sure, okay? But thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, okay?
Thank
Okay, so the plan everybody has, okay? I think the next step is to present it to the town board for them to pass the resolution. I think we passed it last time, we were missing a couple of pages, okay?
I just have one question. What is on the pallet path? Where did that come from?
Pallet path, okay, is the path from the parking lot to through the PLT to the lots of 4, 5, and 6.
Does it have something to do with the artist?
With an artist palette.
Well, we did this, okay, we were trying to find the name, I was trying, and then the family came up with an idea. Why don't we just call it Pallet Path, okay? And I think that's good.
I couldn't get the
The
watermark
other thing that
off.
we really didn't talk about, it'll be in this book, is, Ed, you're here, so before you leave, we have an Ed's Path,
Yes,
Oh,
okay?
not here,
Huh?
not here.
Not here, but we do have an Ed's Path, okay, on the St. Gabe's Annex that connects St. Gabe's to Foxen Creek Road, okay? So and if you haven't been there, it's cleared through, so there's an actual nice walking path, so if someone goes to the annex, they can walk up that way and go all the way up the road, which is state property, overlooking Cockles Harbor, so,
Super.
okay, so
We'll
that's.
have a grand
that's-
opening.
Yes.
We'll have a grand opening for that one, how's that?
Isn't there a bird house
house back there?
We have two bluebird houses there. Kathy, so let's go ahead. What did we,
Well, Tim had asked for two things. One, to take out birds and just use the word wildlife, and he added number 11 about dogs on leash and disposable bags. It's pretty much the difference. I think there might have been the third thing he asked, but I don't have that draft with me.
It's not a question for you. It's looking at the gear management map. It's kind of hard to read the legend. It's very tiny. But it has areas in orange that are no discharge.
This is from Bo, I don't know.
Does archery have you apply no discharge to archery?
What is that's guns, I think.
gotcha.
Yeah, well, I mean, it says that guns are not allowed. So
Right,
I'm assuming that also can apply to the archery or not?
no.
Archery is allowed.
No, I know archery is allowed,
Is that
but if
discharge?
you look at this map, the orange areas and the green, are no discharge zones according to the legend. I think, it's hard to read. So does that apply to the archery also?
No, because actually, if you, hold on a second, let me just,
Can I be on, am I unmuted? This is Carla.
yeah, Carla, I didn't see you. Where
Oh,
are you?
sorry. Hi, I'm here. I don't have my
We've
video on
been
here, but-
talking a lot about your family, okay?
Yeah, I've been listening in on you, and chat has been disabled, so I wasn't able to send congratulations, and thank you so much, Gordon, for everything you've done. You are our hero, as you know, so thank you to Gordon. And thank you, Tim, for bringing that up. My understanding is that the term discharge also applies to archery.
Oh, okay.
So it
Okay.
has to do with the radius that any projectile might have.
Years ago.
You
Okay.
didn't, I do want to confirm it with Bo, but we discussed this a lot, the range of any projectile and how far from any property line and or structure.
You gotta get delineated.
Okay.
So I'll double check it with Bo, but I do believe discharge also pertains to archery.
Yeah, you're-
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, over into comments.
I couldn't get that watermark off by hook or by crook, something.
The draft?
Draft. No matter-
It's in Word, I'll show you how to do
No,
it.
I generally, I know how to do it, but not in there, whatever there happens online or whatever.
Okay.
So I'll leave that to, or Jess.
Okay. All right, we don't have to vote on this, we're gonna.
No, we already voted.
So we'll set this up for the next board meeting. And but when do you think, obviously you both have a full schedule this week, right?
Yeah, and we also have for the 17th as well. So we have a town board meeting on December 30th, so I'm thinking maybe the first work session. February.
I have to excuse myself. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you.
Fantastic job to you and your committee. We owe you a great, get it ready.
No, we owe you, John.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Thank
You
you.
got the good work.
Howard?
I just have a comment on the map, so looking at the map, I think you should include some of the lot numbers. As we talk about it so much in the future, so that we know on the map which are the lot numbers.
Well, they're not labeled for lot numbers when you're in there.
No, but you describe it in the preserve with all the lot numbers. And I just think it should be there.
So basically just showing,
But isn't that map for people to walk?
yeah, this is for them to walk, yeah.
Yeah, so that's not a technical reference, it's a,
Overall.
yeah.
You know, it's just, I just find it a little hard to follow.
Well, maybe what we can do is we can connect to this, okay, the actual survey lots. Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to confuse them.
No, you know, but this is what we're gonna use as a map for there, okay? But we can
Yeah.
definitely do that, and
Just staple it to
the
this.
the signs, I showed everybody what we're getting made up from last time. All right, so can we move this thing forward?
Yes.
You'll present it early enough, okay?
Nice job, Kathy.
Yes, that was a lot of work.
Carla did all the work.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you for all your flexibility and so forth. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Paula, we're looking forward to the event in June.
Yes, I'm looking forward to being there. What's the exact date, Gordon?
She didn't say.
She didn't say they're just establishing, I know that they're dealing with Nelson, and I know I can tell you some of the things that they need some help, you know. Could I ask you to call Nanette?
Sure. I got an email from her last week. She didn't ask for any help, but I'm happy to check in with her. And I do want to thank her for that nice presentation. I was rapidly making screenshots so that I can send them to the family. So thank you. I'll get in touch with her.
Okay. Carla,
Yeah.
I'm, since I'm somehow or other involved with this book, okay, there's going to be a book that I was going to hopefully put into the library over in, I haven't been to George's house, okay? But I was hoping this could be put in his library.
Oh, wow. That would be
Okay.
great.
Okay, so we're gonna make a time for it, okay, and we'll, next time you're out, you'll call like you usually do, and we'll have coffee or something, okay?
That sounds great. That sounds great.
Thank you, Carla.
Thank you.
So where are we now?
What's next?
There's no sense in looking back. Let's look forward. okay?
Yes.
Move on, okay? The West Neck Preserve, is there nothing more you want to add on this, Tim?
The seed was planted.
Okay,
I did send an email to Rusty with some photographs. I haven't heard back yet. It's not terrible, but, and I have some thoughts which I want to ask him about. Anyway, but that's all I have to say.
Dickinson Overlook, we discussed that. The signage and maps, we have to get new maps for this coming year, okay? Which I'll go over with Tui with, okay?
Did you get any of those map holders or boxes?
I have some of them, yeah. I got a whole bunch of stuff, okay? I have to
Okay.
give it. I'll-
I can
I'll-
go around and put some of
Okay.
those in.
No garage.
You
You don't have a garage.
I do have a
garage.
want to discuss the volunteer stewardship funds. Okay, with,
Yeah, so, I got I guess what we're looking for is, volunteers for each, property stewards, and, there's been, I mean, for the white property, I think Gordon had a good idea with, George, is it George?
Bert White.
Or White?
Bert White being one of the stewards of the, a volunteer steward, and
Yeah,
Howard
Howard.
Johansson, okay, who is part of the CAC, who works with us on all of our acquisitions. So they'll be our volunteers, so anybody has issues, okay, and we'll go over, we'll go over with them what's required, okay? Everyone is okay with that?
Stewards
Sensible.
for other properties that we want to put
Yes.
that out, it's like a
Yeah, we should.
advertisement, or?
Yep, we should, and it's good to have other eyes and ears watching our properties, okay?
But the plan is we'll meet with them and
Correct.
Yeah.
And go through it.
go through it. Okay.
At least one, maybe, two would be nice, but, at least one person.
Right. We spent a lot of time with a lot of talk, and we had some good people here. Is there any new business that you really want to bring up at this particular time? I do want to go into an executive session at the end of this, okay, although I don't have an agenda, it's really to review our acquisition process, but I'll do that at the end, okay, which shouldn't be that long, okay? What do, just leaving off what I think, okay, is going to be a major thing, and I think Chewy has mentioned it many times, okay, is going to be maintaining our properties. Okay, I think that's going to be one of the main goals, okay, going forward. How do we maintain our properties and coming up with something? Right now, it's kind of all over the place, okay? But we'll work on that. There's no other business here. Anything anybody wants to bring up, this is the time, or is anybody in the public that has anything that they want to voice here, and you're welcome to speak. All right. And if not, okay, I'm going to make a motion that we go into an executive session to discuss our acquisitions that are currently in place. All in favor?
Aye.
Good. Let's do it.